Ignore the pimple patch on my cheek. Right before I decided to go watch the movie, a zit decided to sprout up right then and there. So, my bad. I can't control that. Welcome back in, you guys. I just got back from the Chainsaw Man REZE movie, and it was amazing. We will get into spoilers here in a second, but if you wanted a sign as to whether or not you should go out to theaters and check it out, this is your sign. You know, all the praises I sung for the Demon Slayer Infinity Council movie, I'm pretty much just going to echo here. It is phenomenal from start to finish. And you may be wondering, Sai, I don't want to watch the movie by myself. Can I bring my significant other who hasn't watched Chainsaw Man before to the theaters? And here's a hot take. People don't like when I say this, but in my opinion, bring them. Why not? Because this movie encapsulates only the REZE arc, I think it's totally fine if you bring somebody who has no knowledge of Chainsaw Man in here. I feel like they'll know her character from start to finish, and that's good enough. And then everything else you can just pick up via context clues, or you can just give a brief rundown of characters beforehand. I think this is not a bad jumping point for somebody who's never watched the series before. So, spoiler time. Well, okay, real quick, before we get into spoilers, animation, 10 out of 10, music, 10 out of 10, sound design, 10 out of 10, the shots, 10 out of 10, and if I had to describe the movie to anybody who doesn't want spoilers, I would say it's like falling in love again. So now, spoiler time. I read the manga, I read this arc back when it first released, weekly. You know, I was keeping it with Chainsaw Man back in the past. I don't do it super often nowadays, maybe this is a sign to get back into it, but REZE's character to me was always wishy-washy. I liked her, I didn't love her, right? I kind of fell into the Makima camp when I was reading the manga. But this movie, man, it really makes you feel for her. I think the way they did so many shots with REZE were just absolutely beautiful, jaw-droppingly beautiful. And I hate, you know, comparing different anime styles, art styles, etc. But, you know, Demon Slayer, I thought was great. But somehow, Chainsaw Man was even better? I think it's just like the contrast of what they're going for. But Chainsaw Man, dude, like every shot with REZE, from the pool scene, underwater scene, the festival. Dude, the festival. When they're like running through and she's holding Denji's hand, and obviously Denji's in a daze. And I feel like the way they convey that is like, oh, you know, Denji's just going around, everything is a blur. You see the feet and they're going really fluid-like and everybody else is a blur around them. I thought it was just well shot. Just everything they do in this movie, I think, was perfect. And something I generally don't give compliments for, because I never notice. You know, I'm a layman, you know, I'm nobody special. People are like, oh, who's this guy criticizing anime? I'm a regular guy. You know, sorry guys, you know, I'm just a regular Joe. And sometimes sound design just flies over my head. But in this movie, no, that's not the case. From the bombs that REZE shoots off, to the explosions, to even the transitions from scene to scene, it was immaculate. I remember, like, near the end of the movie, we get the scene with Aki holding on to Angel. Powerful scene, right? Aki's like, well, I'm gonna die in 2 years. I don't have enough time to give out anyways, but I don't want to watch people die, so I'm gonna grab Angel's hand, even though that will cut my life shorter. I thought that was great. But in my head, I was like, okay, Chainsaw Man Denji, he's still fighting REZE as we speak. How are they gonna go from this soft, emotional scene to the fight? Well, the answer is that they use the background noise and they just crescendo it, so it's a perfect transition back to the fight scenes. It feels like there's no rough cuts in this movie, and that's amazing. You know, I remember just like listening in, I'm like, yo, like this is, my ears are like having an orgasm over here. And speaking of ear orgasms, the music. I miss the days when anime movies, and just movies in general, bring in heavy metal during fight scenes. I feel like that's a foregone concept. Some movies do it every now and then, but most movies don't, and I just don't understand it. It reminds me of this movie. It reminds me of old school dubbed Dragon Ball Z. If you guys remember like the Cooler movies, the Lord Slug movie, BoJack, in certain dubs, not the dubs you can find nowadays on streaming platforms because they erased these from history, but back in the day, they used to play like Deftones, you know, you have like Avenged Sevenfold on the beat, like it was crazy. And this movie kind of does that, not with American bands, but with Japanese metal, right? They even brought back one of the old Chainsaw Man endings and put it in this film. It was great. I had a lot of fun with the fights, man. And then just the visual spectacle, from the explosions to the hand-to-hand combat, it is just great. And there was this scene where they're in like a skyscraper, a building, and they're like throwing mad like martial arts moves at each other. It's crazy how like powerful this girl is. And every time she hit him, like everything changed colors. It felt like JoJo season 1, but I enjoyed this one, right? Like they were over here just hitting each other, perspectives were warping, colors were changing, and the choreography, it flowed. And I think that right there was the most surprising part. You know, I thought I'd get lost in the sauce, like, okay, now they're just like doing whatever. But no, everything just really flowed and you could follow the combat. And I think that was also very impressive, man. Like I said, I have nothing but compliments to give to this movie. Let me see, where should I start? Let's start with the beginning. I wrote notes down as well. I wrote notes. Gotta say this, I love how they erased Power from the film. Not like she was present in the manga, but just the excuse to get Power out of this movie I thought was good. Like, hey, she drank a little bit too much blood from season 1. Yeah, you're not gonna see her for the next 2 hours. I thought that was funny. And I remember like looking back at it, you know, I never questioned it in the manga, but looking back at it now, it's like, yeah, I think if Power were here, she kind of ruined the film. Like, I love Power, but it's like, okay, like we're going for like a serious kind of romancy thing. So if we brought Power into the equation, she would kind of just ruin the vibes. So like I said, I'd never questioned that in the manga, but looking back at it here in the anime, it's like, yeah, I think that was a really smart decision. You know, just get rid of her. She's had enough screen time. She'll get more later. Yeah, let's focus on REZE here. Let me see, what else did I write down? Beam. This goober. Yeah, the Shark Devil plays a really big role here. He's essentially the Chainsaw Man hype man. The movie, of course, I'm not going to spoil anything in the manga. The movie doesn't really get into like how much he knows about Chainsaw Man, but he knows just enough. He's like part of Denji's fan club, and he's trying to like explain the abilities that Denji has. Like, hey, you should be able to shoot chains out of your arms and, you know, slide across buildings, and it should propel you as well. It's like crazy. And then Denji, of course, being an idiot as well, he doesn't understand how to use it, so instead he just uses Beam as like this Sharknado mount, essentially. It's some great stuff. I think the supporting cast in this movie were fantastic. From Beam to Angel to Aki, across the board, good stuff. So you guys are probably just here for REZE, right? I feel like this should just be like a REZE hype fest. And like I said earlier, before I got into spoilers, this movie really gave off the feelings of falling in love, which I think is the main aspect of the movie, right? Denji initially is like, hey, do I have a heart? Like, I'm going this day with Makima, I don't really know. And then Makima, at the very beginning, throws her ear towards Denji's heart, and she's like, yeah, I hear it. You have a heart, Denji. And he's like, oh, this is great. It belongs to Makima, right? She found it. It's hers. And then within the next 5 minutes of the film, we see a girl that steals said heart. We got Denji running into the phone booth. REZE follows him. Of course, this is kind of like pre-planned. It's not like, oh, star-crossed lovers, they just happen to cross paths. No. She's always been aiming for Denji, just like all the other devils out there in the world. She wants Chainsaw Man's heart. But REZE doesn't even notice it at the time, but she kind of wants more than just his heart. She wants his love, which sounds weird, but you know what I mean? It's some good stuff, brother. From the phone booth, to the cafe, to the school, to the festival, to the beach. Every scene, just, you could feel the emotion behind it. And you can see kind of how conflicted REZE is. You know, sometimes she's like, oh, I was just playing you, Denji. But also, why didn't I kill him in the beginning? I pretended to blush. I learned how to do it every minute I was with you. It was vile. But also, what if we ran away together? You know what I mean? Like, it was some really good stuff. And of course, at the end, she kicks the bucket. It hurt in the manga. It hurts watching it today. Just seeing Makima come by and slaughter her with Angel, it's devastating, man. Especially when, you know, I didn't really pick this up in the manga, but she knew she was gonna get cooked. Because we have a little scene where Denji mentions Makima, and REZE is like, oh, like, so Makima's already got you in her grasp, huh? So it was always pointless. That right there leads me to believe that she knows who Makima really is. She knows how powerful she is, and that Denji, at that point in time, is out of her reach. But despite that, at the very end of the film, she doesn't hop in the train, and she makes her way back to the cafe, only to get slaughtered as Denji's waiting for her. Like, she can literally see Denji in eye shot with flowers. And all the money he has in the world, by the way. He packed up his money too, which is hilarious. And she just kicks the bucket. Makima pops out. She answers the country mouse versus city mouse question they brought up earlier in the film. And yeah, dude, it just sucks. And the worst part, by the way, Fujimoto decides to just hammer down your heart. But he's like, yeah, by the way, you ever hear about those Russian kids used for experiments? Yeah, it turns out that REZE is actually one of them. And then, you know, she drops the really sad line, and it's like, oh, Denji, I actually have never been to school either. Maybe we should have gone one day together. Yeah, it's tough stuff, man. Tough stuff. Cruel, actually. Borderline cruel, what they do here. As far as the question goes between country mouse versus city mouse, I know it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but when she said that, I was like, man, dude, the country mouse life sounds kind of good, right? Yeah, you don't eat pizza off the ground. Yeah, you're not getting like fine $10,000 cheeses, but I think a peaceful life is just kind of nice. That's what REZE wanted. That's what Angel wants. Hell, that's even what Makima kind of wants too. The only person who wants the city life is just Denji? Maybe Aki. Actually, definitely Aki, right? Because Aki's not quitting public safety. But yeah, it's just a beautiful movie, man. I really fell in love with it. I think just the cinematics, like there's like a weird bubble blowing scene at the festival. They're catching goldfish. Even when they're in the water and you see the hands reaching out, like everything about it was just so fantastic. I also love the symbolism too. You know, obviously symbolism is very on the nose because, you know, they want it to be on the nose. But like between like that girl dropping her candied apple and somebody steps on it and boom, REZE chops off Denji's tongue, to the spider in the web while they're at the school, and the minute Denji falls in love, oh my god, the spider caught a butterfly. Like, yeah, it's so artistic, for lack of a better word. So one thing I want to bring up is CGI. If you've watched Chainsaw Man Season 1, you know that they use CGI for the chainsaws, and I think that makes sense considering, you know, it's constantly revving, it's constantly moving. You know, Denji, like everything is moving. It's hard to animate that. Maybe that's just giving excuses out, but I don't mind the CGI. I think it actually looked pretty nice. I think it flows really well with the movie. And it's funny because I think CGI hating is kind of a thing of the past. You know, when you think of CGI and you're like an old school anime watcher, like, disgusting. But I feel like a lot of anime studios, especially in 2025, they've mastered the art of making it look in line with the rest of the shots. It doesn't look as alien as it did back in like 2010. So while there is some CGI, I don't think it's bad. I think it's actually fine. And of course, another thing I do want to bring up that is lost within the times is dubbing. So this is a hot take. I don't mind watching anime dubbed or subbed. I don't have a preference. Of course, like I said, if you're an old school anime watcher, you might remember back when dub was really bad. Like, it was actually where sometimes they just ad-lib stuff. Hell, sometimes they still do that nowadays. Chainsaw Man is not one of those series. The voice acting I thought was top-notch. I watched it in English. I'll probably go back and watch it in Japanese too. English-wise, I thought the casting was great. REZE felt like REZE, which is all you could really ask for. Even when she was singing her Russian song on the rooftop, I was like, damn, like, is this voice actor Russian? Like, you know, they're kind of playing it really well. Was that Russian I was even listening to? I don't know, but it sounded good. And that's all that matters. Everything I thought about this film, like I said, is a solid 10 out of 10. I genuinely have no complaints. Actually, scratch that. I have one big complaint. And it's because I'm greedy. I am shocked that they did not announce a season 3 after the movie ended. That is my one thing, you know. Hey, Chainsaw Man definitely deserves it, brother. Whether it's a 2-year, 3-year, 4-year wait, I think season 3, it needs to come, man. It needs to come. So now, the last thing I want to talk about, you know, kind of getting back to how we started this video, but the fights. The action scenes were great. I mean, the creativity of, like, the Bomb Devil, right? How she, like, blows off her head by pulling the pin, and then she tosses it into the building, the head explodes. It's so fun, especially at the very end where like she's blowing up everything and there's like different colors, like, oh, here's a blue explosion, yellow, red, pink. I thought visually it was just so stunning. It was just so good. Like, we had impact frames, art style changes. Dude, Yeah, and then all the way through to the end where they like fall in the water together. And it's like I said, it's a beautiful scene. It's like falling in love, and you see like the flashes of them hanging out at the school. Like they weave in the action so well. They really do. I just gotta say this, but man, these animators, dude, they're putting in work. And hey, I'm not trying to get on those soapbox and say, hey, these animators need to be paid more, but it really feels like they put in like 1,000% effort into this, dude. Like, I don't know what's going on in that studio. I don't know what kind of fire they're producing, but it's some good stuff. Yeah, talented artists through and through, from Fujimoto to the studio that worked on the movie Mappa. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I'm so happy that this is the case. I wish more animes go this route of making movies. I know some people might not agree with that because it's like, oh, I don't want to spend $20 for a movie, and then if I don't watch the movie, I have to wait like 2 years for the movie to come out on streaming platforms. But here's the thing, dude, the quality we're getting is just so absurd. Like, I was thinking about this movie, like, after watching it, I was driving back home, and I was like, man, this feels like a timeless movie. Like, I can't imagine anything being better than this. I mean, even like Demon Slayer, right? I still hold that movie in high regards, and it's like, bro, like between that movie and this movie, like anime fans are absolutely eating. And I don't know if you guys care about Apothecary Diaries, but they just announced the movie for that too. I am so happy that more animes are going the route of doing movies for arcs. Certain arcs, not every arc, but certain arcs. And I wouldn't be shocked if JJK does the same thing with the later eventual final fights. I could see that being the case. I think that is the new meta. Hopefully more animes jump on board that trend. Because besides, like, getting better animation for us, the audience, I do think that's a great boost in revenue for the companies. Hopefully, obviously, it gets divvied up to animators who are doing all the grunt work. But yeah, I think this is a win-win across the board. We pay 15, 10, 20 bucks for a movie ticket, and we get something that is an absolute visual spectacle. And like I said, the music is there, the OST is there, just so much is firing, brother. I really cannot recommend this movie enough. And I think the true glory of it, which I don't know how many people actually did this, but I just finished rewatching season 1 of Chainsaw Man again. So finishing that and then coming to this movie, it's just banger after banger. And now we're just waiting for a next season. Season 2 or 3. I call it season 3 because I consider this season 2, but I know that's not the way it works. But yeah, excuse me when I say that. But anyways, I'm kind of just rambling now, so I'm going to go ahead and end the video right here. Let me know what you guys thought about the film down below. What was your favorite part? What was your favorite scene? For me, definitely the pool scene. I just thought it was just so beautiful, man. Like, it felt like a classic action movie, which bad comparison because nobody likes this anymore, but it's like the start of those movies where you have like the dead wife montage, like, oh, you and your dead wife are on the beach, oh, you and your dead wife are walking the dog, oh, you're at the park having a picnic. Like, that's what it felt like, and it was all just at that pool. But here I'm not disgusted by it. I'm like, oh, like this is unexpected. It's moving me, Batman. Yeah, let me know, what girl do you guys like the most? Do you like REZE? Do you like Makima? I love to hear that down there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Peace out, and have fun at the movie, brothers.